We have been flooded with questions about our mission here on this program, what we are trying to do, what we intend to do, and what is our outlook for the future. Well, let me just say, number one, we need to grasp and gain control again of the minds of our young people. The minds of our young people have wandered so far off the chart, so far out the chain, so far out to sea, to whereas it only would take a God pulling us together to grasp their minds back again. We have a serious problem of respect, discipline, and learning deficiencies with our children. They're not grasping the education that they're given because, as I said on a previous program, the education is a misfire. It's a miseducation. If you look into everything that the school system is teaching, you will find flaws in the system. There are so many flaws in the system that the entire system is flawed. And they do this, they get funding for this under the guise of helping the children, better educating our children. When actually, if you look around, if you talk to the young people, it's not happening. Every government function, every government grant. I was listening to a radio station the other day and a lady called in and asked, we should not have money problems in the schools. What happened to the lottery money? That's a very good question. I can answer what happened to the lottery money without having any in my pocket. The lottery money went to the politicians. It bought their home in Malibu. It bought their home on the east end of the East Coast. It allowed them to take 4 or 5 vacations. It allowed them, while we're in a recession as taxpayers, to give themselves and their staff raises, to give them extra vacation time, to pay for overtime for work that isn't being done properly. And basically the work that I'm talking about is just educating our children. We have a problem with the educational system that will not be solved overnight. But the beginning of the solution is conversations. The beginning of the solutions is shining light on the dark subjects. One of the dark subjects is just that we have a system set up that it does not want, it does not like to have black couples, black families, a black man and a black woman to stay together. Why would you say that, Brother Melvin? Well, the system is controlled by the powers that be. This big political machine that is in every city, every state, from the top to the bottom, from Washington to Arizona, from Chicago to New York, from LA to Detroit. It doesn't matter. Every state is controlled by a political machine that is, their agenda is to keep the black families separated, keep them apart. You start that by controlling the minds of the children. You start that by brainwashing the children into thinking that they don't have a future because the only thing they was in the past are slaves. We're here to tell you that every black child has the potential of being a leader in this world. We need to stop looking for leaders because God has given us the power, everyone under the sound of my voice, to be a leader. Be a leader, not a follower. I find that a lot of our young children are in trouble right now because they're following. They're simulating. They're being with the crowd as opposed to having individual thought. Individual thought is a dangerous thing these days because when you have individual thought, it forces you to ask questions. And questions are very important. Questions are the essence of learning. Questions are the building blocks of knowledge. And you see, this is what we have in our school systems. And it's very important to understand, we have it to where we don't understand how to grasp the school system back from the powers that be because all they're interested in is making money and keeping their jobs. The education of our young people is 4th, 5th, 6th, or maybe even 7th. We must bring that point that is 4th, 5th, or 6th up to the forefront to where the education of our children is more important than your job. The education of our children is more important than the teachers union. See, you have a situation now, and I find it to be so much in an emergency state, but we need to understand how it is. You can't solve a problem until you first realize what the problem is, how it's laid out, and then you begin to solve it. What we have here now is we have we've taken the prayer out of the schools. Once they've taken the prayer out of the schools, then we found out something. We found out something very essential. Listen to this very carefully. We found out that the teachers were scared of the principal. The principal was scared of the superintendent. The superintendent was scared of the school board. The school board was scared of the parents, and the parents are scared of their children. And guess what? The children ain't scared of nobody. They're on the street corner talking and shooting and killing each other and disrespecting their parents, disrespecting themselves, disrespecting their black people. All because of a miseducation. They don't know who they are. They don't realize what they are and the jewel that God has given them, that which is life. If they were to wake up, and we need to do that for them, we need to begin to walk upright, young, even older, black men, stand up and be the kings and the hunters that God made you to be. Because without our understanding of where we come from and where we need to be going, we need to know who we are. Because who we are the greatest and the finest people on the planet. God made us first. He made us to be in control. You see, that's why I believe Caucasian people don't want black families to stay together. Because once we come together, we will realize the power that will be created. They know it already. Because of our miseducation and our pulling away from the education of our real ancestry, where we come from, who we are, and what is the origin of our DNA, which is to be automatic leaders, which is to be automatic hunters, which is to be people that are creative and that is in control. God gave us that instantaneously. And the second he sent his son Jesus down the cross, he gave us choices. That's why it's not forced upon us to do the right thing, but you have the choice. To all young people, young and old, but specifically to my young black brothers and sisters, stand up, believe and know that there is a God. Don't let your school system, your television, your music, your literature tell you that there isn't, because you can look around and make yourself believe that there isn't. But you can also look around, if you truly mean it in your heart, and find evidence that there is a God. I seen a story on the news the other day about an airplane crash where 98 people died. One survivor, a young boy. Nothing but a God can do that. It wasn't a good pilot. It wasn't the weather was good. It wasn't that a bird didn't get caught up. It was nothing but a God that can. Now that young man has a story to tell. And when it comes down to God saving your life, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, rich or poor, or green. And I'm real hard on the green people. Believe that. If somebody's green, they really have torn their behind with me. I can't hear nothing they say. Okay? So it's important for us to understand that we need to come together as a community, as a black community. And wherever you find truth, no matter where it is, grasp to it. Grasp to it. And ask questions. Because the truth is the only thing on this earth that can stand up to questioning. You can tell if someone is telling the truth because they don't mind asking questions. They don't mind answering questions. They don't mind being a part of the process to get to the solutions about our community. Let us be thankful that conversation is still free. It may not be for long. So while it is, let us grasp the ability to conversate with one another as a black community, especially the black community. I don't want to exclude anybody, but I understand that your best oppression that you can talk about is the one closest to you. The one closest to me is the color of my skin. And I'm so glad that I can help my people to come together in just the form of conversation. That's the first step. With that first step, mountains can be moved. Parents, mothers, and fathers. If you come together and don't listen to what the world say, you can move mountains through the grace of God. You can tell the mountain to move out of your way with the grace of God. You're given that power, but we must come together. Coming together is the beginning of all of our successes. We thank you once again. Leave comments. We'll be back next week. Hope you come back to see us. Peace. I'm Melvin.